Hey everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. This will be different than the Moment of Clarity rants. This is Moment of Clarity. I don't know what you want to call it. Breaking news, let's say. Moment of Clarity breaking news. This is just a live stream about a topic that I'm just felt like the need to talk to you guys about. So a lot of people are asking about what's going to happen on Tuesday, and I have some big thoughts that are not being said on your mainstream airwaves and your corporate hacks that they can't bring themselves to actually reveal the truth about our system. But there's a bunch of points I want to get to. I've already done a video on how Donald Trump wants to create chaos on Tuesday because that benefits him. If there's chaos, it's good because he can walk out on the balcony on Tuesday and say he won no matter what. And if there's chaos, then that's good for him. Now, I want to preface this all by saying that nothing I'm about to say about talking about whether Biden will win or whether Trump will win, none of it is meant to be some sort of an endorsement as to one or the other or yay. Or most of you who know anything I've done know that I talk a lot about how we have a rigged system owned by two corporate parties, and there are differences between them, but there's a lot more similarities than there are differences. But just so as I go through this video, just so when I say, if Biden's winning, blah, 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 it doesn't mean but everybody's got to go out and vote for Biden right now, or everybody's got to go out and vote for Trump. All right, that's not what I'm fucking saying. But I have said many times that I want a legit election. So whoever the closest to legit winner is of our upcoming fucking shit show, that's the one I'm going to be like, hey, this guy won. All right. It's fucking, as far as we can tell, this guy won. And that's what I'm going to stand up for because I want a legit election. Anyway, so there's this endless talk about, in terms of what's going to happen on Tuesday. This first part you can get from your mainstream media. I'm just setting it up. I know that I'll get to the stuff your mainstream media won't fucking talk about in a second. But, there's been just millions of mail-in ballots, drop-off ballots, early voting, absentee. They say the percentage that has already come in is between 60 and 70% of the entire vote for 2016. So people are voting, which is good. This is supposed to be a democracy. Supposedly it's not, but people think it is. So great, vote, wonderful. So but it is millions upon millions of ballots. And besides the fact that our post office has been gutted, I've covered that too. It was gutted initially back in 2006, voted on unanimously by all the Democrats and almost all the Republicans in Congress in 2006 to gut our postal service. So anyway, that being said, the states, beyond just the Postal Service, the states are not really equipped to deal with this number of ballots because people are voting in record numbers. So some states have systems where they claim they're going to count that vote on the day of the election. But most of them say, we'll start counting on the day of, or we'll start counting now, but we'll probably have to count for several days. But here's the thing. America has been told on the day of the election, you tune in and you watch MSNBC and Fox News and they go, we can now project bliggity blue. And everybody goes, wee or boo. And everyone expects that that's how this works. And that is likely not how this is going to work this time. But the problem is Americans are not patient. You have a fucking narcissistic, megalomaniacal man-child in the White House. And I can guarantee you, no matter what happens, unless Biden wins in a day of landslide, Donald Trump will declare victory and he'll declare everyone needs to stop counting on the day of. The only way that doesn't happen, him declaring that, I'm not saying him winning, but him declaring himself the winner, the only way that doesn't happen is if Biden wins some key states on the day of, on Tuesday. So if it were to come out that apparently they say they're going to know Florida on the day of, I don't know. But if they were to know Florida on the day of, and Biden were to win even Florida, where he'll almost definitely lose, even though he's polling a little ahead in Florida, but Florida suppresses so many people. I mean, millions of people don't actually vote in Florida when they think they voted. So if he were to win Florida, then it would be incredibly hard for Trump to win the election. If Biden gets Florida, it's almost over. So there's certain things that could happen on the day of that would make it not as chaotic or confusion oriented. But other than that, exempting some kind of massive Biden landslide, Trump will declare himself the victor no matter what. And then you have a fight. You have a fight in the courts. You have a fight in the states. It doesn't mean that the states are set up to help Trump rig it. Just because Trump declares himself the winner does not mean that this state or that state is going to immediately go running out and go, yeah, Trump won, and just set all their ballots on fire. There are systems in place. Many of these officials are corrupt, but that doesn't mean they're all corrupt for Trump. They're corrupt for a variety, cornucopia of causes that corrupt them. So it will cause chaos and it will cause confusion. So what do you turn to? And this is what I'm getting to, that our mainstream media has basically not even talked about. What do you turn to in a lot of ways? What do you turn to when people don't know what's fucking going on in an election? Well, you turn to the polls, the pre-election polls and the exit polls. These are two things that show you whether a election is being counted correctly. And you see it again and again from nation to nation to nation. They look to these things to see if there is a fraudulent election. And yet here in America, we've done everything to undermine those aspects of our election because our ruling elite want to rig various elections. They want to rig them in a variety of ways. The Democrats want to rig their primaries, but the Democrats want as many people as possible to vote in the general. The Republicans want to rig the general by suppressing people, by stopping. Greg Palast, who does a lot of investigative journalism on voting, has come up with a number of roughly 16 million people across the United States have been purged going into this election. 16 million. Now, those might not all be in battleground states, but it's fucking insane when you think about Trump won Michigan last time by 10,000 votes, a swing state. So anyway, you look to the polling, the pre-election polling, and the exit polls. Now, the problem is because our system is so fucking off the wall and bizarre and fucking voting machines that no other country uses and all this horse shit. The polls going into the election, the pre-election polls, are always wrong. Like, always. Like, always. I mean, at least over the past 10, 20 years, because so many people are purged, and they don't know they're purged. So people go into the voting booth, they try and vote, they're given a provisional ballot, they think they voted, they walk out skipping away, hippity-doo-dah, I voted. And they don't know they didn't vote because they have been purged. And it's millions of people. So when they're called on the pre-election poll and it says, who are you going to vote for? They say, oh, I'm voting for Brett. And it's not true because they're not going to get to vote. So those polls, and that's why you see this again and again this is at least 20 years of this, where, Ohio's polling for John Kerry, or Ohio's polling for it's polling by 10 points for Barack Obama. Now, it's interesting. Barack only won by 3 points when he was polling by 10 points. Wow, that's a big shift. And this happens again and again. And our goddamn corporate hack media acts like this is just, the polling was off. Wasn't that interesting? They claim that last election with Hillary and Trump that, it was because Comey came out with the files and released it, said they were looking into the emails. And it's like, that did have some impact, but it wasn't the entirety of the impact. It also doesn't explain why specific states' polling is so far off while other states are more accurate. So our mainstream media they'll call out they'll say the polls were off, but they won't give the accurate explanation for the main reason, which is massive voter purging. People just knocked off the rolls in the millions. Last time around was a program was used called Interstate Crosscheck. Now, Greg Palast, with his lawsuits, et cetera, and he's had a lot of help with other organizations, but have succeeded in getting Interstate Crosscheck thrown out. So Interstate Crosscheck's not a problem anymore. But people have been purged by other means. The Supreme Court actually upheld purging in Ohio, and this was a year or two ago. This was before Amy Coney Barrett or any of that. I believe it was before Kavanaugh too, where Ohio would do, I believe they call it caging, where you send out millions of postcards to people and you say, if you don't return these, then that means you're not living at your address and therefore you're purged from the voter rolls. And they send out millions of postcards. And Ohio sent out like 1.3 million postcards. And how many of those were actually returned? Only a percentage. So 1 million people ultimately out of 1.3 million were purged from the rolls. Now, did those people actually move? Did they actually leave their address? And that's why the postcard didn't get to them? Fuck no. It's because people don't return goddamn postcards. They don't even see them. Who even uses mail anymore? It's just garbage. So millions of people purged from the rolls in Ohio. This was way back. This may have been even before. I think it was before 2018. But the Supreme Court said, "Oh yeah, that's fine. That's totally cool. Go ahead and purge people that way." And that largely impacts young people and people of color are far more impacted by that technique, the caging with the postcards. So we have a system that is carefully designed. I mean, some of it's accidental, but it's designed. It's perfect for chaos, for confusion, for not getting a legit election. So when they have all these polls that they're showing you on MSNBC and CNN and Fox News and endlessly, oh my goodness, Biden's doing this and Trump's doing this. And then on the day of, they go, oh, that's interesting. The polls are off. We know why. We know what's going on. And yet they act like, oh, it's baffling. It's so surprising. But don't worry about polls. They're always off. They're always off. And so we don't have those polls to look to. And then something countries do is they also look to, well, hold on, let me say one more thing about the pre-election polls. If you look at, this actually has to do with the exit polls. If you look at Bolivia, that just happened, right? Bolivia voted out their coup government. The U.S.-backed coup took over a year ago, and Bolivians went out to the polls. This is just a week or two ago, and voted them out. And you have to wonder why was the government not able to rig that election? They have controls of some of the apparatus. Why could they not just say, just walk out and go, never mind, Evo Morales' party lost, and we won the coup government forever. See you later. All right. Why couldn't they do that? Because the exit polls were too obvious. And once the exit polls come out, you know that like the government that was in power knew that their time was, numbered. They couldn't come out with something that was wildly off from the exit polls, or else it would just be too obvious. It would be very clear they stole the election. So once those exit polls are out, they're kind of fucked. If the exit polls show them losing drastically by the Evo Morales' party, MAS, won 52% of the vote compared to 30-something% for the next challenger. And so because of those exit polls, they couldn't have scammed the actual count if they wanted to. But in the U.S., we barely even have exit polls. We have one company that has been doing our exit polls for the past many years, one company named Edison Research. And it's funded by our press, the AP, Fox News, CNN, etc. And as if that doesn't make it problematic enough, Edison Research a few years back said that they take the exit polls that they get and they align them with the machine results. They wait for the machine results and then they align their exit polls with the machine results, which is the opposite of an exit poll. An exit poll is supposed to tell you whether the machine results were legit. That's the point of an exit poll. Not to fucking tell, we took the machine results and we crammed it into the exit poll. No, you assholes. Why would we put you in charge of exit polling if you're just going to make it match the machine results no matter what? It's insane. So, and on top of that, many of the funders of Edison Research have pulled out, Fox News and AP and others. And so now Edison Research is down to this scant little, crew, and they largely, if you watch CNN, like in 2018, if you watch the midterm elections, CNN will only reveal exit polling that is like topic specific or issue specific. So you watch on Tuesday, I will bet you money that CNN and the others, cable news, everything, they'll give you some exit polling, but it will be like, we found out 62% of people said healthcare was their biggest issue when they voted. Or 75% said that they were voting today because their balls were scratching. Or whatever. They're going to be issue specific. And what that does is it stops you or me from being able to look at the actual grand total exit polls. At no point will CNN or the others say, we've looked at the exit polls. The exit polls show Biden winning Florida or Trump winning Pennsylvania. They won't say that. Even if they had those numbers, they won't say that because they know the exit polls have been off a lot. And they've been off a lot because of rigged machines, because of voter suppression as well. And so they're off for a variety of reasons. But it's because our system fucking sucks. And there's too many ways to rig it. And so people walk out of the voting booth saying, let's say they walk out and say, I voted for Biden. But what they actually did was they walked in, they were purged from the registrar, and so the guy gave them a provisional ballot. So they think they voted for Biden. They walk out, they tell the exit poll person, I voted for Biden. And then that exit poll is completely wrong because that person didn't vote for Biden. They thought they did. And so that is why your mainstream media will not. And then like I said a minute ago, the Edison Research will then take those exit polls they have and make sure they fit the machine results so that America doesn't know the machine results said 50% and the exit polls said 40%. Because if that happens, then everyone goes, this election is fucked. This election is fraudulent. People get angry. They get upset. You see how that works? And so they've basically just wiped out the exit polling. Occasionally, you can still find some if you dig into the numbers, but it's not easy, and they often don't release them. But what this does, this is why we have a system that is specifically and uniquely set up for the chaos that could very well happen Tuesday. It is a system that is set up accidentally for a strong man like Trump, a strong, narcissistic, power-hungry corporate stooge like Trump, to walk out and say, I have won. And no one can prove him wrong because we've got shitty pre-election polls, shitty or non-existent exit polls, and machines where half the time you don't even have ballots you can count. I mean, most of our machines now have receipts, but what does a receipt mean? The machine could print out one receipt and record the vote as something else. So that paper receipt you got is nonsense. So we, more than almost any other country, have a system that is uniquely suited for a fucking authoritarian twat bag to declare himself or herself the victor without the votes being counted, or with the votes being counted and they actually lost. So, what I'm saying is you could see chaos on Tuesday, and it's by our own making. Like, Trump is part of it, and here's the thing is, like, as I said at the beginning, I think we have our two parties are 90% agree at 90% on the corporate the central structure of our government. They're pro Wall Street, pro war, pro destruction, pro imprisonment of black people, pro environmental collapse. So they agree on all those things. So I'm not trying to tout one versus the other right now, but it is true that Trump, unlike past presidents, is far more likely to just walk out and say he won. Bush obviously had the 2000 decision, but that was far more complicated than just Bush walking out and saying he won. Whereas now Donald Trump uniquely suited as a human being, as a pathological sociopath, to declare himself the victor no matter what. And our system is uniquely suited to create the kind of chaos that would allow him to do that. So I think the only way you don't see some version of this chaos on Tuesday is if Biden were to win in such a commanding way that it just makes it impossible for Trump to declare himself the winner, and that's before most of the mail-in votes are counted. So we're talking on election night. What they should really do on election day, the hack media, is they should be telling everyone, look, this is going to take days to count all this, so we'll cover, some of what's coming in tonight, but you do not expect a president tonight and a presidential call tonight. But that they will say some of that. I mean, there will be discussion as to how long it's going to take to count the votes, but for the most part, most of it will be building up to announce a victor that night. So even if you have a commentator every once in a while going, it could take a long time to count these votes. I tell you what, take a long time to count these votes. By the way, I would love to have a CNN commentator that just is right, correct on everything, but sounds like that. And no, James Carville doesn't count. All right, he's a fucking idiot. So I want just a fucking brilliant CNN commentator who's like, I tell you what's going on right here. It's going to take a long time to count these votes. That also is a great James Carville impersonation as well. So anyway, it's just so fucked. It's so fucked that they've put us in this position. Our ruling elite have set up this situation for chaos, for people to get furious and be in the streets. They've also convinced everyone that the entire world revolves around the election between Biden and Trump. That, so many people believe that if Biden gets in office, everything goes back to okay. And if Trump stays in office, then the world burns down. And it's like, no, these guys are far more alike than you give them credit for. I mean, Biden wins, you have unlimited war, you have endless bombing, you have Wall Street running wild, you have a pandemic killing tens of hundreds of thousands, you have environmental destruction, fossil fuels, endless fracking. If Trump wins, you have endless war, Wall Street running wild, hundreds of thousands of people dying from a pandemic, environmental collapse. So you can see it's completely different. But they've convinced everyone that this is night and day, and so people are going to behave as if it's night and day, as if all hell is broken loose. But like I said in the beginning of this, and I'll say it again at the end, I'm fighting for whatever the closest thing to a legitimate election is. So if Trump declares himself the victor when he hasn't fucking won, then I'm not going to be for Biden, but I'm going to be against Trump. I'm going to be against the guy who's faking his election win. Now, if the reverse were to happen, which I don't see, if Trump were to win clearly and obviously, and Biden were to say, nope, I won no matter what, then I'd be pro Trump because he was the victor and against Biden. But I'm just for whatever is the legitimate election result or closest to legitimate we can get, understanding that millions have been purged, that we have a completely faulty system. But I just wanted to, because it's not, honestly, I see what CNN, MSNBC, and all these garbage networks are talking about, and none of them are talking about. They talk about how Trump is, trying to tell people there's problems with the system, or that certain systems are not ready to count all these ballots. Like, they'll talk about that. They're not talking about how that these entrance polls, the polls before the pre-election polls, are off because of the purging, and the exit polls, they don't talk about those hardly at all because they want you to forget they exist. They want you to forget that good exit polling is possible, and it's done in other countries, most other countries. And most other countries rely on exit polls. And if they're very far off from the election result, then that's a fucking fraudulent election. But your mainstream media don't want you to know that. They want you to think exit polls don't exist, or we don't even know what they say. We don't even know. Who knows exit polls? Who could even? I mean, people lie on the polls and they lie to you and they say, oh, I voted for Mickey Mouse, and they didn't vote for Mickey Mouse. That's so silly. But guess what? Good exit polling exists, and they can account for things like enthusiasm gaps and for things like someone lying to them. Because if you take a large enough polling swath, you can eliminate those variables. Anyway, that's what I got. So, I'm predicting chaos for Tuesday. And at that point, I'm predicting. All right, guys, this has been a Moment of Clarity breaking news rather than the Moment of Clarity rants. And but if you want these, I do videos almost every single day, and they're all at leecamp.com. You can watch them for free, but you won't often be told when they come out. So you got to go check them out almost every single weekday, except sometimes. Oh, and also on Election Day, I'll be doing live coverage 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern with Eleanor Goldfield. We'll be live streaming at youtube.com/Moment of Clarity. Please, right now, if you're watching, go to youtube.com/Moment of Clarity and click subscribe and click the bell icon. And we will be doing a live stream that night, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll be probably saying some of the stuff I said just now, but we will also be looking at the exit polls that they do allow us to have and those kind of things. So tune in then, Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, youtube.com/Moment of Clarity. Keep fighting.